Citizens of the Reject Nation, we've been waiting all day to hear Lulu Clemens talk about She-Hulk, Episode 8, the Daredevil episode, the one we've been all waiting for, the Easter eggs and breakdown. John, how are you?
I am excited. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling better about the Daredevil beanie because so many of you guys have reached out to me. We have started a GoFundMe. No, so many of you guys.
You've already raised $10,000 toward your next
this
Daredevil
$20 beanie I might be able to find. Everyone who reached out about, like, you find it yet? I haven't. I called a restaurant. I called a movie theater. The only two places I'm like, since the last Daredevil episode, the only two places I've been. No sighting of it. Still can't find it. But thank you guys for reaching out. Leave a like. Thank you. And let's see what's going on. So thick one.
Thick boy.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemens here to break down episode 8. Yeah, this is
Got
8. So I'm here to break down episode 8 of She-Hulk for you, which was both great and amazing and sexually liberating, but also bad, horrible. And once I get my hands on the Intelligencia, I swear to God, I'm gonna wind up and punch him right in the goddamn throat. We welcome local cutie and bad boy Daredevil and Leapfrog and get to learn a lot of new things since we've last seen Matt. Also, this Matt is super funny, acrobatic, and overall just really fun. It's really crazy. So let's just get into it because I'm sure you want to hear about Daredevil as much as MT wants to hang out with Leapfrog.
Really quick, I've seen some people who I kind of expected it, and I think a lot of us did, that people might be like jarred or be like, they ruined Daredevil, look at them making him funny. I actually think it lines up well with where Daredevil season 3 particularly ended, and also, you know, I've actually read some Daredevil comics. His humor's not off base here.
Yeah, it's not like they made him like a jokester or a quipper. Like, they did a really nice job of keeping it in character, which sometimes they don't, but here I think they absolutely did.
We open this episode to Jen and Smart Hulk from episode 1 discussing how Jen is going to make She-Hulk work. And yes, it's W-O-R-K, but also W-E-R-K. You get it? This is the first time in an episode started like this with the music before the previously on card. It's playing the song Work by rapper, musician, and nerd Jalissa Wilson. We see Monahan's Wholesale, which we've seen briefly in the trailers, and also an homage to She-Hulk supervising art director Drew Monahan. We see 2 robbers stealing a couple Linscock 65-inch smart TVs. One is played by Anthony Goolsby, and the other is played by Charles Barden, who did stunts for a ton of other Marvel properties, so it makes sense because he's about to just get shoulder checked into this van by Leapfrog right now.
That's actually a really good fun fact for y'all, is that sometimes the most reoccurring cameos you'll see are actually the stuntmen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are constantly being repurposed for different roles.
I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you don't need to try to think of something to say off that. It's just a fun fact.
I just wanted to be a part of the video.
You don't need to try to contribute. It's okay. I contributed.
You did. You did a great job. I love your contributions.
So we're finally introduced to Leapfrog. Well, you know, like verbally, because we've already seen him before at Luke Jacobson's studio, but now we're like actually talking to him. Also known as Guard Frog, which I think is a playoff of like Guard Dog. I don't know. I know you probably heard me, Voss, or MT talk about Leapfrog before, but for a quick summary, in the comics, Leapfrog was actually Vincent Patilio, the inventor and Eugene's father. He was a pretty bad guy, but once his father went to the prison, Eugene donned the Leapfrog costume and swore to use it for good. Vincent Patillo, the dad, was known for going head-to-head with Daredevil, Iron Man, the Defenders, so it's not too far off from what we see now with Daredevil just now entering. Eugene the son, once donning the costume, was known as Frogman, who helped Spider-Man, the Human Torch, and the Avengers. That doesn't mean he was an amazing superhero, though. That does not mean that he was good at his job at all. Don't get it twisted. He was still pretty kooky and goofy. That's why he's involved in She-Hulk.
They should do like a Suicide Squad, but with some of these more, you know, exceptionally F-list characters. Like everyone we saw in that group therapy with Abomination. You had Ralph Boner in there.
Yeah, Ralph Boner.
Leapfrog in there.
And get Trevor Slattery back again.
Yeah, I want to see that canceled Disney Plus show. Not ordered to series Disney Plus show.
This family wasn't as wealthy in the comics, but in the She-Hulk series, they certainly are. Jen is interviewing Eugene Patilio in her office at GLK&H and reading a comic book, I think, that has Leapfrog on the cover. Also, Jen's new threads are mwah. In the comics, Frogman and Leapfrog have electric coiled springs in their boots, giving them the ability to jump super far and high. Not these rocket shoes. But my boy Tom Michelson caught this one. When the rocket shoes start sputtering, it's the same sound as the Millennium Falcon hyperdrive.
No way.
Disney.
Oh,
Damn, it is. That's crazy.
That's cool.
Skywalker sound for post-production sound services. You Star Wars nerd, you.
Oh, that's
Also,
really
we get
cool.
call
That's a
out to the
fun Easter egg.
impeccable title, and I guess Leapfrog's catchphrase, which is "Time to rib it and rip it," which just reminds me of Beyblades, and I really like it. Once Jen finds out her client is suing Luke Jacobson, she runs straight to Holden Holloway's office, who says he doesn't want to upset Mr. Patillo Sr. So we've got Leapfrog's dad now in the company. Todd's also a client, so it's not adding up the way I want. It's all a little too suspicious. The very beginning I pitched Holden Holloway was in on it all, and it looks like unlikely, but it also isn't. It could still be happening. Also, I've theorized many a times we've probably already seen Leapfrog's dad in episode 4, the married guy that hits on Jen and Nikki. What we know from Eugene and his father are seemingly rich enough to give his son a secret lair out of their building. Or it could be a front for used cars, but still they're building either way. So it's good to note the sus behavior because it's very sus. Once
Looks
Jen
like a
makes her
weed
way to
farm.
Luke Jacobson's studio, he's working on Jen's gala dress, and Luke is not having these false allegations. He ripped Jen's outfit off of the mannequin, and he's completely done with her. We're back with Judge Price, who we last saw him in episode 1 and 3. And in swaggers our good old friend Charlie Cox, aka Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Now let me remind you the last time we saw Daredevil. Matt was mourning the loss of Elektra after the Defenders, while Foggy and Karen mourn his death. We get a lot of senseless murder by Dex, aka Bullseye. We find Matt's mom bring Vanessa back. In the end, we get an epic showdown between Dex, Matt, and Wilson Fisk. Dex' spine gets crumbled. Fisk goes back to prison. Foggy, Karen, and Matt reunite happily. Everything's blue skies and
Exactly.
sunshine. Then we see Dex being worked on by Kenji Oyama, and the rest is history. And as a reminder, Charlie Cox said in an interview that Daredevil Born Again is like a season 1, not a season 4. It's a whole new thing. So some things may spill over, but ultimately, I think it's okay to assume not all of season 3 will come to the MCU. This is also just an FYI for how we last saw him in the bigger scope of things, not with his like cameo that he made in Spider-Man No Way Home. And this Daredevil's got jokes. He saw jokes in the Netflix series. This one's pure comedy.
Yeah, I know. And I noticed they kept it kind of vague when he was talking about his law firm back home. He wasn't really specifying, exactly like what it's called, who's there. He doesn't name drop Foggy or Karen or anything of that sort. So I feel like they left the door open to have some wiggle room of what they really want to keep and what they really want to bring back. I feel like they got to bring it. I feel like it has to be a season 1 and a season 4 at the same time.
I feel like you should at least bring back the core 3 because they have such a great chemistry already, and I feel like having him be the same but having them two be different after already making such a big impression would kind of be weird.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it would be a lot to swallow because everybody does have such an association.
At the same time, I do think that, he was funnier here, but I feel like in Born Again, I think he's going to get really serious. Mark my words, or else I'm going to clip this moment out when we're reacting to that show.
This scene also mirrors our free comics QR code. In She-Hulk number 4 by Charles Soule, She-Hulk is friends with Matt, so much so she goes for him for advice. They later go head-to-head, Jen defending and Matt prosecuting Steve Rogers. This is one of my favorite runs. They were both chosen just because they're phenomenal lawyers. Now, Jen breaks the fourth wall, calling Matt an asshole for asking for the motion to compel production of the defendant's client list to be rejected as it's not relevant to the litigation, which is complete lawyer jargon mumbo jumbo. Talk for first things first, Jacobson is not giving you his client list because it has nothing to do with the case. Now, this is when they begin using a lot of lawyer jargon, and I'll be breaking it down like really quickly for you because I watch enough Law and Order. She-Hulk says we need the list because there's probably other people who have been affected just like this. Matt says Luke's record for working with people is top tier, there should be no complaints. She-Hulk summarizes more reason to bring clients to the stand. If he has nothing to hide, then there's no worries, right? Matt basically argues an invasion of privacy on the client's end, where Jen remarks this basically isn't a private issue. People should know what they're getting into by hiring Luke first. Where Matt retorts that Luke's clients are superheroes which need to remain anonymous at times and brings up the Sokovia Accords being repealed as an example. Okay, so this itself is already pretty big news. To some, small news to others, but to me, I think it's a pretty big deal. As a reminder, the Sokovia Accords were introduced in Civil War. The whole framework is to regulate the activities of superheroes, more so enhanced individuals. When our superheroes even fought against it, remember, they were sent to the raft. So this is not just a little slap on the wrist. This is a big deal. The Accords were seemingly still in place even after the blip and even during WandaVision. So now that we know they've been repealed in 2025, because that's seemingly when She-Hulk takes place, that means enhanced individuals can basically do whatever they want. Not necessarily like,
oh yeah, that's true.
They could get another Lagos incident, or just not having the closer monitor on how these folks are engaging in saving the day. I mean, does that sound dangerous to you? Let me know how you feel, because I genuinely was Team Captain America, so I was against the Accords, but still, what happens when a bunch of innocent people get hurt in the crossfire? It just seems like Ooh, a recipe for a lot of disaster.
That's actually a really good point. That's a very solid point. I know a lot of people talked about that when that was dropped, but I didn't take the time to read too much into it, only because it was just kind of like threw it away, that line, ever since the Sokovia Accords were repealed. I guess I would have treated it like a bigger deal if there was like an episode or a movie since there was one movie that completely revolved around it, thought it might have been like, oh, maybe it was something that I just sort of missed over the times of all these Marvel movies.
Yeah, because it seems like something else would have to go in its place for how much of a big deal it was putting them into place to begin with. Me here, just my wishful thinking, part of me goes, well, maybe we could kind of explore that in a She-Hulk season 2 and maybe actually get some litigation going, but also have something that's like law-oriented that is really going to affect the whole MCU.
Maybe that's the whole thing of Kamala's law that Coy keeps bringing up.
That's right.
This is when the argument and trial becomes more about Daredevil and She-Hulk than opposed to Luke Jacobson and Leapfrog. They're arguing about being anonymous to being well known. While they both kind of take jabs at one another, it's clear their personal lives are rolling over into this case. Also, it's so on the nose, but I love this line.
He's lying. Don't ask me how I know, I just know.
Yes, we can. Lying, Mr. Murdock.
We all know how Daredevil knows Eugene is lying. He can smell the fumes and also hear the heartbeats, you guys. He is not a bat, but close enough. And unfortunately, Jen technically loses her second case. If you want to count the Titania storming in and disrupting as a loss, and technically getting Donnie to sign the cease and desist later too. So yeah, maybe 2.
They fixed that wall really fast.
Grill, Jen's delivered a green appletini from Matt, and I do declare this man is giving me the vapors. Also, a green appletini. So funny. I'm green, I get it. He even later hints at his new suit made by Luke Jacobs that we can only assume is the new Daredevil threads by Luke Jacobson. Matt even mentions Nelson and Murdock, his law firm back in Hell's Kitchen, possibly called Nelson, Murdock, and Paige now, right? Because that's how we ended season 3. Hopefully they bring that over, or it just feels like kind of messed up to be like, Karen still works for us, but her name is taken off the headline. Matt says this.
Jen Walters can use the law to help people when society fails them. And She-Hulk can help people when the law fails them.
It reminds me of in the comics when Matt and Jen had a heart-to-heart on how being an attorney can't go the same lengths as being a superhero. He used this to break Felicia Hardy, aka Black Cat, out of prison when it was proven she was framed. And oh boy, Jen, are we ever feeling this guy? Also,
I know, right?
He stepped away for that phone call. It must have been for Luke, and he's handling it so calmly, as Daredevil does time and time again. That's when the worst thing that could ever happen happens. Todd asked Jen for legal advice, and they need to talk ASAP immediately, and he's being a dick about it. We're meeting Todd at Hoof and Flower on Wilshire. Wilshire is long, but it's in West Hollywood near Beverly Hills. Am I correct? It goes through Beverly Hills.
Yeah, you're right.
That Todd is demanding to meet there. Todd is waiting, sipping on some red wine.
I hate that boulevard.
All those red and black label Johnny Walkers behind him. He's clearly not here to talk about law. This is around the part he yells at a quiet restaurant, "Wakanda forever," and puts his arms to his chest. Yeah, made me completely uncomfortable. He also purchased an authentic Wakanda war spear at an auction, which we can assume is probably one to the Dora Milaje. Now, this part where Todd says they want it back because colonizers took it from them is a big deal and important to note. In the first Black Panther movie, we first see adult Killmonger at the Museum of Great Britain looking over the Wakandan artifact that's actually vibranium. This item was taken by British soldiers in Benin, but we know back in the day, a lot of Western nations during the war and colonization stole so many African art pieces, and rightfully African countries deserve their artifacts. But people like Todd, who clearly love Africa, want to keep it. He thinks he deserves it for dropping $1 million on it and taking a clearly Photoshop photo with the damn spear like a damn colonizer. So if people are suspecting Black Panther Wakanda Forever to possibly take place in 2023 or 2024, She-Hulk is allegedly 2025. I think the connection is that after whatever happens in Wakanda Forever, there's another step for Wakanda moving forward. When I say this, I mean, in the first Black Panther, Claw was clearly a threat, but everyone was mixed on whether T'Challa should stay or leave. They weren't as worried about the artifact, and in the end, they started expanding their outreach. Now, in Wakanda Forever's trailer, we get this sweet line that I love so much, where she says, "We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector. Now it's our time to strike." That clearly can be aimed towards a lot of things, but I think in play with it is the idea that it didn't make us weaker, it made us stronger, we as a nation. And when I say we and us, I'm talking about Wakanda. I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm from there. And they'll be doubling down on everything, getting back in order and moving forward like never before. And one of those steps could be reclaiming their stolen goods. Maybe we'll see some of that at the end of Wakanda Forever.
I would love it if the writers are watching your breakdown and are like, "Yep. Yeah, we totally thought of all that. Yep. That's exactly what we were."
It's we got one more set of reshoots, right?
I feel like the Sokovia Accords reveal line was something that Feige was like, "You got to write this in here." That Like, what was it? So instead of the Sokovia Accords repeal, you're setting up the Daredevil show, and you're setting up some stuff with Black Panther.
Yeah, people are worried that Phase 4 isn't interconnected enough, so this episode has to get to 3 movies at least.
Episode 8 changed it all.
Can we put Todd in Wakanda forever? Can we do that?
And also, it was cut out of our reaction because I was trying to like make sure the best parts were kept for time to get you all the Daredevil goodies and keep you watching. They reveal his last name's Phillips. And we talked about in our discussion, his last name's Phillips. It's Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips, we live in a society.
Is this a crack at Todd Phillips?
Yeah.
Because he's not credited as Todd Phillips in the credits for some reason. But his name's Todd Phillips. Director of The Hangover.
Waiting for him to clap back on Twitter.
We also learn in this scene that Todd studied abroad in Wakanda. This could be why Riri Williams is in Wakanda in the first place. She could be studying abroad. Also in the comics, Brody from Ms. Marvel left to study abroad in Wakanda. This will probably be tethered to their outreach and helping those outside of Wakanda. We see Jen's suit, which has been many upon many variations of in the comics, but I like this one the most because it feels more practical, you know? If I had a leotard from the comics, you know, it'll be flimsy. All my bits and chips will be all over the place. So yes, we like practicality in women's fighting fits. It's what we want. Of course, Jen's strong enough to stop a car with her calf. She basically shoulder checked them in the comics. And also know Daredevil's acrobatic nature. We don't see much of this in the Netflix series, but he was always very acrobatic in the comics. Now, I know we've been waiting for this for a long time and we all know about his suit change, but you know, it's the breakdown, so I have to talk about it. So Daredevil is now wearing a red and yellow suit instead of his normal red and black we've seen before. Now, it doesn't stray too far from the comics depiction, but also good to note that this is a Luke Jacobson original, not Melvin Potter. Also, Daredevil really said, "My ass remains unwhooped." I just love how funny he is. Also, yes, he was still very funny and has a sense of humor in the Daredevil series when he wasn't so brooding, but here he's not that brooding. After fighting in the parking lot, which I refer to as the dance of the soups.
Another thing that we can point out is that he's in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. He's taking a break from Hell's Kitchen. He got his suit from Luke Jacobson and not the very dark, depressed, neurotic Melvin.
Not in the dingy, like, chop shop he makes that stuff in, yeah.
All the worst crimes in the MCU happen in New York City. This is like a vacation trip for him.
Truly, truly, truly. It's like any show that randomly does an LA episode. Everything's lighter and everyone's on speed a little bit, yeah.
We see a poster for Rogers the Musical and Despierta News, which we've seen on a couple other episodes, and a giant poster for Donnie Blaze, if you remember him.
That son of a bitch.
Also, again, not Jen's first time lifting a car, you guys. We saw her do it in that credit scene that one episode. Also, this is happening and Leapfrog is speeding past Avis on Flower Street in downtown Los Angeles. Once Jen finds out Daredevil is actually Matt, she questions his power, like echolocation, which we know is like he has radar sense, but it's maybe it's just easier to be like, yeah, I'm like a bat, it's echolocation.
Yeah, Morbius. I think another very unrealistic touch about this show is they would have definitely been chased by the cops.
Oh, sure. There would be cops somewhere.
Downtown LA, full of police everywhere.
Oh my God, they just patrol.
That amount of speeding, I'm like, there's no way. And all that damage happening in this parking lot, there's no way.
I'm like, if you drive to downtown LA at this time of night, there will be more cop cars than regular cars around.
Also, Jen says this.
I assume the guy dressed as the devil was the bad one.
Which could also be a nod to Bullseye from Daredevil Season 3, who was the bad guy dressed up like a devil running around town. Also, it plays Daredevil's sick intro, and I'm stoked. We're all stoked.
Gold devil.
I'm Daredevil.
They clearly
Star-Lord.
haven't changed it from the Netflix series, which I'm so excited for. And in super bogus news, Jen has never heard of Daredevil before. Maybe because his heroic feats don't reach the West Coast, or maybe because they're so small in Hell's Kitchen, it's nothing to California. There's also been a lot of stuff happening in between these two shows, so it's not surprising that Jen doesn't know who he is, and maybe that'll give way to the future of the MCU when he shows up. They take Jen's Prius, that's really been fixed since last episode, to the lily pad, which is his secret lair, Eugene Patilio's, and you can tell by their family's name on the side of the building. And peep the We Buy Houses QR code that leads you to the Charles Soule run of She-Hulk 2014, issue number 9, that I talked about earlier. My favorite issue from Soule. Whee! I gotta do that every time. Now, I hate to be this person, but Leapfrog's secret lair is sick as hell. The old school Leapfrog art on the wall, the sticker on the computer, a completely green Secret Labs gamer chair, the yellow diving helmet, which I don't know any Marvel characters that wear the yellow diving helmet other than Mysterio. Thank you, Brandon. But I do know this is a swampy inspired lair, so maybe they pulled inspiration from Scooby-Doo. We have the brass frog lamp, frog parking only, Leapfrog beacon light like Batman's little signal, little Leapfrog game on the table, a green motorcycle, Frogger and Leapfrogger. At first, I thought thought the Frogger sign was just posted over another game, but it actually just genuinely looks like that. A greenish trampoline, clearly a lily pad, and a little child park riding frog. This man's saying, if it's green or if it's a frog, put it in my lair.
This is unappreciated production design.
Did kidnap Luke Jacobson. For a minute, I didn't believe. I was like, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it was the dad, but no, he stole a man. He stole Luke Jacobson. He tells Luke he wants his new suit to have bulletproof shields, a fancy AI with a British voice, most likely a nod to Iron Man and Jarvis. Also, peep this lamp with all the old school Leapfrog stickers. It's just like swagged out. Daredevil brings up the difference between henchmen and goons that I love and never noticed that henchmen believe in the cause, goons are just there for the paycheck, and that's great to keep in mind. Also, okay, oh my
important
God,
for the future
when
of the MCU.
Daredevil listens to Jen's heartbeat, nah, like come on.
I know, yeah.
Jesus Christ,
Seriously.
I need like an ice bath.
I wish
after
I could
that.
do
And
that.
I'm
Tell
back
you,
at
you're
it.
right.
My boy's
Best
fighting
move
people
ever.
in the long hallway again. Don't we just love these scenes where he's always fighting people in hallways and the lights are just contrasting everything? I just love it. Billy clubs extend and have the special steel fiber cable that allows it to shoot out. You're seeing during the fight. We see this also, I think, in season 2. The walkie-talkie says Cobra. And before we start going crazy about what Cobra is, Cobra. Because this is the first time we see it in this episode, trust me. We also see it on Leapfrog seatbelts, but I think it's because his car is modeled after the 1960 Shelby Cobra. Also, Cobra is just the brand of walkie-talkies, so don't read too much into it unless he's just a fan of that brand. This is the
Easter
scene
egg
we got
challenge,
from the
tell me not to
trailer,
read
so
too
now
much
it's
into it.
clear that these are Leapfrog's goons. We've got a crossbow guy, a crowbar guy, a sort of grappling hook on a chain guy. You know, those kinds of people are wild. This squad of tadpoles is messy as the Wrecking Crew and very misplaced. They don't know their weapons. They just don't even know what they're doing. We're ready for this throwdown, another hallway fight, everything we wanted. This blue light casted upon us. We are
So
amped.
cool.
And then,
So
all
like
of a
hell's
sudden,
frozen
friggin'
over.
She-Hulk falls through the ceiling, smashing the goons with debris with our very own new She-Hulk catchphrase, I guess.
She-Hulk smash.
And yes, Jen, he's doing it for all of us. He's doing it for you. He's doing it for me. We're all into this. We all want to have sex with him too.
You're so
True.
funny.
True that.
So funny.
True. Saying what we're all thinking.
Jen definitely killed those people.
She definitely, I was just thinking that again. She-Hulk smashed skulls and rib cages and all sorts of other things.
I know.
And they usually do like random asides to be like, no, they're knocked out or whatever. But yeah, in this case.
That would definitely murder regular human beings, which she did.
Oh, sure. Well, and I mean, you know.
They all got blood clots, to say the least.
They are all walking away, yeah, with irreparable damage, for sure. And I mean, you know, not that Daredevil smashed anybody with debris, but like, you know, he kicked that guy and then he like fell and hit his face onto a table. Like, that guy's probably paralyzed, if nothing more.
True that, son.
And just like his father in the comics, Leapfrog jumps out the window, breaking his legs. Now, this is maybe the funniest and most embarrassing thing I've ever seen done in a comic. And if you've seen worse, please, at me, try to. Because Leapfrog jumping out of a window and breaking his legs in the comics is very funny. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. The sexual tension was real. We weren't reading too much into it. Not me screaming at Daredevil's clothes lining the ground like those little kids dropping the breadcrumbs. God, good Lord, Cody.
I do love how his clothes are neatly placed there, too.
Yeah, in a perfect tray.
Before I meet you on the bed, I need to fold my clothes.
Okay. Can I put them down gently? I just got these.
From Luke Jacobson.
You done wrote us an episode and I love it, baby. Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. The next morning, the morning after, the walk of shame, baloney. Daredevil's never been prouder. Also, I'm sure we'll see Daredevil again because we have one more episode, and Titania posted this today, which is Charlie Cox in the same room we saw at Blonsky's retreat. So
No
when we go
way.
to Blonsky's retreat, and
Yes!
mid-season trailer.
More DT!
Obama stay.
Someone said that he wasn't doing the walk of shame, that he had his shoes off because it was just helping him walk because he's blind and sensing. But I was like, but he's normally walking with his.
Almost always.
He would need to be,
shoes on.
if that's the justification, he would need to.
This would have been part of the character before,
always
just
been
now on a different network entirely. On a one or maybe two off cameo appearance.
I thought it was like he's walking with his feet in the grass. Like, ooh, I'm happy.
That's, I think, more likely. Just like,
Yeah.
it's the morning. I want to catch the dew.
Yeah.
Like us, Jen breaks the fourth wall saying, it feels like the episode should be over, and it's not over. I feel the same way. I was like, we're all at this point, right? And I think this is also really important to note that she's never broke the fourth wall this much, being so aware that the episode should in fact be over. Jen reminds us and is very surprised that the next episode is actually the finale, which get him all my kisses out before it actually happens. In a very writer knowing situation, right before the finale usually comes the climax or the twist, and even Jen says it. So we're expecting the next 5 to 10 minutes to be probably horrific, and they are. Either way, before we get to that part, they are teasing us about this Red Hulk. She even mentions Red Hulk, and we all been thinking about it. We all been expecting Todd to be Red Hulk. So if you don't know, Red Hulk was Thunderbolt Ross in the comic books. The Intelligencia gave Thunderbolt Ross the ability to transform into the Red Hulk to better fight the Hulk. Now, in the comics, we really didn't know who Red Hulk was for a while, but we do know Abomination killed Betty Ross when Thunderbolt Ross freed him to kill Hulk, and Thunderbolt Ross spiraled. But
all that
the leader
happened.
offered to basically bring back his daughter and also kill Hulk for good. So they injected Ross with gamma radiation, which turned him into the Red Hulk, and the leader, when bringing Betty Ross back to life, turned her into the Red She-Hulk. I would love to see this play out clearly in the She-Hulk series. People are expecting it to be Todd, which I am still banking on. I will put money down on Todd turning into Red Hulk by the end of the series. Hopefully Todd
that sounds
is not
annoying.
like the leader. Jen also mentions, am I getting fridged? Which is a term meaning to kill, hurt, assault, basically depower women in stories to boost the man's worth. Which if you haven't heard, you've definitely seen done. Shoot, it happens to Gwen Stacy all the time, you guys. The term was coined by Gail Simone and ultimately refers to the Green Lantern issue number 53, where he comes home to his apartment and finds his girlfriend dead and stuffed in their fridge. These storylines can see in situations where like the women didn't really need to die. You know, Green Lantern didn't need to overcome anything because his girlfriend's death. He would have solved it on his own. And what I'm saying is this is just mainly in writing. It's not Green Lantern's fault, it's in the writing's fault. So Gail created a website showing every time women in comics were used solely to push male story arc rather than dive into their own damn problems. We're not a throwaway device, you guys. You can't just use us for your storylines to further them in this way. Round out your characters. Don't use us dying or being assaulted as your ticket out, my dude. It's not that hard. Yeah, if you're a good writer, you can write. That was my rant about being fridged, because it happens. It still happens. It happens in every show.
Okay, hear me out. New Rockstars kills off Jess Clemens to help motivate and get more people to watch the channel when MT and Eric Voss are doing breakdowns.
Yeah, everybody has to band together.
That way there's more of an emotional core and you watch those guys grow over time.
Yeah.
As they grieve through the process. Like, oh, can New Rockstar still continue with the loss of Jess?
And it ultimately, yeah, like makes everybody grow that much more. You know, like you are the thing that everyone thinks about now in memoriam as these two men soar to greater and greater heights.
And you will have made the men better in the long run.
And it's all thanks to you.
All thanks to you, woman.
While they reap the benefits.
Yeah. That's actually a really fascinating terminology. I've never heard that before. Have you heard that phrase? I've never heard that phrase.
Once or twice, but not enough that it's the first association. But now it will be.
Now I'm like, oh, there's a whole deconstruction of this thing that I had never heard of before. I've heard of the trope about that doing that to women, but I've never heard the term fridging. Never heard that before.
Just before we transition, Nikki is about to do Jen's makeup, and come on. That's not the Wolverine nod. I'm not having it. We've gotten three, if we want to count the sneaker. We've gotten 3 Wolverine nods. And now that we know that Wolverine's coming into Deadpool 3, how are you not gonna just stop acknowledging it if you're not gonna acknowledge it? You know, I love. Whatever. We're at the Southern California Law Awards, which we've seen earlier in the trailer. Jen steps out looking beautiful in the silver dress and heels to match. The song playing is The Next Big Thing by West Rose. We see Jen's parents, Elaine and Morris Walter. Holden is there, and peep Todd's hair, okay? Just remember that hair. Remember the back of that hair, because we're going to come back to it at the end. Nikki mentions
is he in the
Jen's
mask or
dress
something?
being a Luke Jacobson, Zuhar Murad collaboration, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but this is a real Lebanese fashion designer, not fictional, a real person. We're table 14, and Pug is also there. Jen wins, and so do 5 other women. We all thought it was going to be just one winner, and it's 5. Karen Hunter, Alice Chen, Joanne Torres, Barbara Wells, and our good suspicious friend Mallory Book. I don't know if they did this on purpose, but each of those people, other than Mallory Book, are actual attorneys in California. Jen is really
cool.
by the whole emoji that's
well
screaming,
done.
and it's like Pepe Frog. Like, I hate this. And a distorted voice breaking through, blaring, "Do you want to see who She-Hulk really is?" The Intelligencia is giving a speech about hating She-Hulk like every rant handsome video I've ever seen made. Now, I hate to do this, but it's my breakdown, so we gotta talk about it. They pull up Jen's matcher likes, her text messages, photos of Captain America during Civil War, her bills, and including this video of her and Josh sleeping together where Josh actually recorded this horrible like revenge porn, and now it's being played for everyone at this gala. This is genuinely the most horrible and completely messed up thing I've ever seen in the world. Like it's awful. It's awful outing people with like nudes or anything like that in general, but like actually seeing it done to Jen at this gala and in front of her peers, clearly she deserves to be a Hulk in Rampage.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, this scene could have been triggering to some, so I'm really sorry it affected you, and I wish I could have tweeted out a warning, but the way I watched this episode is so sporadic that it hit me at 2 in the morning. Jen's reaction is completely valid though, and Mallory tries to stop her, and once Jen breaks the TV, the red alarms go off, and we can assume she'll look like the Terror tonight after the destruction she just made, sort of how Bruce warned her in the first episode. It's like the scene from Carrie. The lights are
That's what I
blaring,
said.
She-Hulk's eyes are wide, and Rude by Shy Girl plays, and it's literally like the eerie screech noise at the beginning when Carrie's like, they're all gonna laugh at you. It's horrible. There's a chance that this guy isn't him. I don't think this could be Todd. It might not be. I mean, look at the sideburns, look at the long hair. Kind of resembles Ched, which I really don't want.
What?
No. But I'm banking for Todd. I just wanted to be Todd because he's already an asshat. Might as well just make him more of an asshat.
It's kind of crazy how they had Daredevil come in here, who was a very dark, brooding character that people were kind of like, oh, they're going to make him too funny or something like that, especially when you put him in the She-Hulk show. And then after he leaves, the darkest moment of the show is actually given to She-Hulk.
Yeah.
That's very, very strange.
Yeah, and I mean, and
Not strange, but just interesting point.
Yeah, well, and two, I mean, it is thinking about the MCUs, like she said, like this could be triggering to some people, and I was like, yeah, it really could be, and I can't remember the last time I felt that way during a Marvel anything. So it really does kind of step aside and go, no, this is something like real and uncomfortable, no matter how fantastical the person experiencing it is.
When Stormbreaker was getting jealous of Mjolnir, that
You know what? You're right. That's
was
worse.
very triggering because my inanimate objects that I married cheated on me with Koi Jandra.
Wow.
And we had to talk it out, and it was very triggering when stuff like that happens, you know. So that's why he wasn't in our non-spoiler review for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't be. And you are so brave for still continuing to work with Koi despite that.
Well, I care more about views
Oh, sure.
than those damn 2 broomsticks that I married.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm being really honest, when you were saying that you haven't seen a moment like this that's so traumatizing or triggering, I was racking my brain for what moment can I pull from to make a joke, and I probably pulled the worst thing, and it led to a really flat improv bit.
It led to the best part of you're going to see the most replayed part of the video is just this banter right here.
We get the law coming in, which we can assume to be the DODC because they're jackets, and they're using the Hulk miniature versions of the Hulk frequency machine we saw in Incredible Hulk. It feels like that, but it also feels like the machines that they use in Miss Marvel. New courtroom
DODC
illustrations
is
are
always
had.
getting their ass
Todd and
kicked.
Leapfrog in the suit bidding on the Wakandan spear. What we can assume is Daredevil and Jen under the covers, and Jen's knocked over J-Mug, and Daredevil's glove and suit lying on the nightstand with Jen's bra on top of the helmet. Ooh! Daredevil passing Nikki on the not-so walk of shame. That's everything I've spotted in the 8th episode of She-Hulk. You guys, this episode was really great. I'm so glad that we finally got Daredevil. And with so much great news, of course, had to come horrible news, but I know we'll get them in the last episode. We'll get them in the last episode. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lulu_Clemens. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Time to rip it and rip it!
She-Hulk's gonna kill. Gonna go on a killing spree.
She's going to murder
She's
everyone
gonna
in
murder
Los
everyone,
Angeles.
just like Carrie.
Yeah.
Just gonna go on a killing spree. It's
They're all
gonna
going to
happen.
laugh at you, She-Hulk.
Guys, I hope we get more Daredevil next week.
I do too.
Leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe, click that bell, leave a like, and hey, let's end this with a Patreon.
James Smith, you're the new devil of the Reject Kitchen. You know why I chose you? Because your name is spelled cool. It's got a Y in the middle. And Y's got like 2 little devil horns. So you are our devil today. I want to see, I hope, I mean, this is, you're more of a fresh face in our shout-out circle. So, as we get to know you, I'd like you to send us consensually some pics, maybe of you in some spandex. Let's see what kind of, physique you're rocking. Because, if you're going to, be flipping around and kicking ass in our name, to protect the Reject Nation, you got to have that bubble butt, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, keep on keeping on, and, hope you're doing well. And thanks for your support in all seriousness, because it means a lot to have you here with us. And I hope we have not completely, or I have not completely off-put you with this whimsical shout-out. Peace, brother.
It's okay if you unpledge.